Fresh. Takes a minute on YouTube, apparently. All right, looks like we're live. Perfect. All right. So, hello, YouTube. I'm Kyle from The Swap. Today we're hosting on the Bitfinians YouTube channel. So today we have Luka from Voltage Finance joining us. So some really exciting things flowing on with DeFi. So excited to have Luka here and get to talk more about that. Real quick before we get into any discussion and intro with Luka, I would just like to kind of touch on next week. Since it's May 9th, we have a week from today the ICP Community Conference, which is taking place in Florida just before the Bitcoin Miami Conference. So that will be a 2-day event, so the 16th and 17th. And then there will be some events and stuff for the ICP community to attend after the conference. And then obviously the 18th through the 20th is the Bitcoin conference. So super excited to meet up with anyone that is joining in the Miami area. Super exciting to be in what they call the crypto capital of the world. Just super excited for that. And if you are attending, please just reach out. We would love to meet up. And then I'm going to pass it over to Luka here. So thank you so much for joining us today. Super excited to have you. And if you could give just a brief introduction about you, and then we'll go into all the further details from there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no problem. So first of all, thank you all for watching. This is Luka here. I'm head of marketing in the community at Voltage. So I'm basically Mr. Marketing at Voltage. I'm the one in charge of the whole marketing strategy, where we're heading, how to interact with the community as well, and all the things that I might discuss later on. I'm French, and yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, awesome. So, for I guess real quick about Voltage, how did you get started with the team? Like, what brought you into the whole DeFi atmosphere, and like, did you have other projects and stuff that you were kind of eyeing up? And like, there's got to be something like that was just like it stood out to you. This is like a no-brainer to kind of get involved with.
Definitely. So first of all, I would say that I was passionate about DeFi since its inception. I would say 3 years ago, I went down the rabbit hole, if I can say it like this, and got interested in DeFi in general, you know. But I was also building a company with a couple of friends of mine, so I didn't get into DeFi like I was working in DeFi. And at some point, I was like, I'm missing out on something. I need to get in a DeFi project because I believe it's the future of finance, and also crypto, blockchain in general are technologies that are going to disrupt old models. And so I was like, okay, let's look for a job in crypto, right? I have experience in marketing a lot because I built my own company before, and I was the one in charge for marketing as well. So I was like, okay, I have experience. I want to apply this to this growing industry, right? So I looked for jobs online, and then I saw a Voltage position, and I saw how much potential there was there. So I was like, okay, let's apply. And it seemed like my profile interested them. So now here I am, 6 months after being hired.
That's awesome. So right away out the gate, you were like, DeFi is the way to go. It's super cool to see that right away because we always want to see more people kind of get into the space. And DeFi obviously is the future of finance if crypto does amass to be everything that people think it is. So hopefully like we see that strength kind of come in, because I know the bear market's been pretty brutal for some teams. So super excited to hear that, because like I said, man, it's a battle to like get into this. It's not necessarily easy to get jobs, and the fact that you're part of like a really big company already for DeFi, like that's super promising. And you're on Fuse, if I'm remembering that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and if you could just give like a little brief background of like why you guys may have selected Fuse for your choice.
Definitely. So so for those who don't know, Voltage Finance is the leading DEX on the Fuse blockchain. The Fuse blockchain, I could compare it to like Polygon, in a way that it works really fast. The transactions are really fast, but also cheap. I'm talking like under a cent, right, for transactions, which is very DeFi friendly, if I can say it like this. It also was one of the things that attracted me to Voltage was its inclination to do more user experience stuff, like meaning like how to onboard the next wave of users that really don't have any idea how to use a MetaMask, something like this. This was one of the point that really interested me at Voltage, and for the little reference of history for why did we basically launch on Fuse, it was because first of all, Voltage before was named Fuse Finance. It was originally a project built by Fuse, but then opened because it's now a DAO. So it runs like a DAO basically. I'm working for the DAO, and now it's rebranded to Voltage Finance because it's now independent from Fuse. So it was originally launched on Fuse and chose to stay there because of the whole ecosystem. But maybe we'll talk to this later. But we want to expand, not stay only on Fuse.
Yeah, definitely. So then, as far as like the team size, how big's the team now at Voltage with you guys being a DAO contributor to the DEX?
So I would say we're well over 20 now, in a way that we have the main, I would say 80% of the team is developers. I can say it like this. And you have marketing, it's me. Or for now, it's only me. And we have also a product manager. And also we have a whole team of ambassadors, which are now, working part-time for Voltage, creating content and all of the stuff, which we might also dig into later because I have some interesting insights there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So how does your DEX differentiate itself from other DeFi platforms in terms of functionality and the user experience?
Right. So that's a very good question because it's I would say that's the most important issue that we're trying to target. Right now, if you don't have any idea of how to use a MetaMask or how DeFi works, you're probably not going to touch it, right? It's scary. There are some terminology that looks really sketchy as well, like impermanent loss or things like this. It looks just unattractive to newcomers, right? So
Mhm.
that's something we really want to tackle. So Voltage has a DEX, like normal, has its normal DEX, right? But also it really emphasizes the user experience in a way that, for example, like we recently launched our new UI, which makes it really sleek to anyone to understand. The buttons are really clear. How it's done is like we try to minimize the process of providing liquidity. We have like the Zap feature where instead of having to calculate to make like a LP token, right, and a pair with 50-50, here you just provide one of the tokens you have, choose the farm you want to provide liquidity into, and the smart contract will automatically calculate and stake for you. So it means that we're removing a lot of barriers to entry for newcomers to basically try DeFi. So that's on the DEX side of things. We also developed the Vote app, which is a mobile app. It's like something you have on the phone that's really similar to your basic banking app that you maybe have, right? If you're like in a developed country, if I should say. So it's really easy to use. In a few clicks, you can stake your tokens, sending to your phone contacts. You can also swap directly on the app. I mean, it's basically what you would do on a DEX, but with much more less steps and at a few clicks, basically on your phone, pocket reach.
Yeah. So obviously simplifying the user experience is like not very common so far in crypto. It seems like there's always like 7 to 10 steps. It seems like for a lot of these projects. So obviously simplifying that and making it, like 3 to 5 steps for people to kind of, get, onboarded and get familiar with, and something that looks very simple and familiar with them obviously is going to be something that resonates where they could use it easily. So super happy to see that with you guys. And for as far as um, like the steps your platform has taken to ensure the highest levels of security and minimize the risk of hacks and exploits with the vulnerabilities in the space, like how has your team kind of tackled that?
Yeah, it's really it's a really important matter, right, in DeFi because so many we see almost every week, right, exploit or hacks, especially on lending protocols. For now, we're not lending, so it's quite safe on there. So there is something to take into account is that we always audit our contracts before posting them. That's like it sounds basic, but I can tell you, not all the protocols do this, right? So I can assure you that at Broad Voltage, what we do is we always audit the contracts, make a review by other devs, by other teams as well, especially the Fuse team as well is also involved in their development wise, but also QA wise. So we always test them, audit them, QA, and then we launch. It's always we always go like this. And then for the Vault app, I should say that the app is non-custodial, so it's like basically like a MetaMask. We don't own your funds; you own them. And also, you have the basic security features like biomapping, fingerprints, or Face ID, things like this that secure also your wallet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even the most fundamental things, like sometimes they get overlooked, but it's super important to have because I mean, if you skip one of those fundamental steps, like it could cause a lot of issues, obviously with your product and obviously within the ecosystem and stuff around you. So yeah, it's super important to have that because like obviously there's been like honeypots and all these different things that have taken over in the DeFi space, which like have been exploits and so yeah, like that's super important to tackle that because I mean
It's actually a real challenge, especially for us, because we're balancing between like user experience, which means reducing barriers to entry, but also improving security, which means often the case that it's new barriers, right? New process to go through, right? For example, if you want to do like a if you want to add a two-step verification to your login, for example, it's a barrier to entry to new entrants that like don't really trust those processes or don't really know how to use them, right? So it's always being in the middle of the line between security, which we want to improve as much as possible, but also user experience, which needs to be as simple as possible.
yeah, they're definitely needed because like if it gets too complex, it loses your focus, right? The retention and all that is needed. I even recall like they like even when like Amazon started, when there was too many clicks, they saw a decrease in sales and all
Yeah.
that. So like you'll see a decrease in transactions and stuff, obviously on the platform if there's too many steps. So simplifying that obviously helps more volume get produced and makes the user experience a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So can you discuss the governance model for your DEX?
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned earlier, the voltage is a DAO, so we have like the standard procedures of a DAO, right? Like a forum for the project, but also a snapshot where we introduce proposals, get voted on, and then implemented if voted in favor, right? So that's how we go usually. But the model for now was what we name X Volt. Volt is the governance token, and basically when you stake your Volt, you get X Volt in return, which is basically a representative of your share of the pool of people that stake Volt, and you get fees rewards, basically a share of the fees generated by the DEX. By staking your Volt, you get some of them. And with the V Volt, you're able to vote on. With the X Volt, you're able to vote on proposals. But we are aiming to change that. So this is really basic. We aim to change that with V Volt. So V Volt is basically the implementation of, maybe you know it, V33. It's something Andre Cronje. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but like one of the big names in the DeFi industry introduced. It's basically that we want to emphasize. Give more power to the people that believe in the long term. And how do we know that people believe in the long term in a project? Is because they staked and they locked their tokens for long periods of time. So with V-Vaults, basically users will be able to stake their Vault tokens for a certain amount of time. The more it is, the more API they get. That's for one. And also the more votes they get, which means that we're slowly transitioning the governance model so that the most active community members and the most, let's say, trustworthy individuals get more voting power.
Okay, yeah, and then you would say like as far as like the distribution, it's been pretty fair, obviously, because like you're not like exposed to like a Sybil attack, I believe, right? For the DAO voting power, right? Like,
Right.
is it pretty distributed as far as
Exactly. That's the aim of this model. Exactly, is to reduce um, big actors to have too much voting powers, but also to incentivize the community, close community, which is really involved on a day-to-day basis, and give them more rewards for being so active and for being supportive of the project as well.
Yeah, awesome. And then as far as like your platform for um, how you handle issues of liquidity and like what incentives that Voltage Finance might offer to like maintain healthy trading, how does that kind of go about for the Voltage environment?
So there's a couple of things here to point out, I would say. So first off, I think it's not a secret anymore that in DeFi liquidity is not loyal, not at all. So it's like jumping from protocol to protocol where APIs are interesting, right? So what I try to do is to keep API quite high, and we have some pairs that have 3-digit API, which is DeFi, DGen DeFi, for those who know it. So that's one thing. We always want to make sure that the rewards are high enough so it attracts newcomers also to Voltage. But also we have two bridges from BSC, so Binance Smart Chain, and Ethereum as well. So that it's easy for newcomers to come with their like ETH or BNB, bridge them to the Fuse network, and then swap them, and then basically benefits from all the opportunities we have. So I would say really important is the aspect that how do newcomers come, right? Is it easy for them to come? Yeah, so they need a bridge and they need also high APIs, otherwise there's no point for them to come, right? And also another thing which we've been working on is a router, a new super router. Because a router is basically what helps your transaction go through the most efficient path, basically, so that you pay the less fees, but also you have, let's say, the best prices. And so we're working on a better router as well, which is probably going to come out in the next couple of weeks, so that you don't have any slippage when you do a transaction, or really, really, I would say not important amount. That's the goal.
Okay, yeah. So it's like obviously slippage has been an issue for a lot of people, especially when you're not experienced with trading and
Exactly.
your buddy tells you, hey, like, no, you need to put it in advance. And all of a sudden you accidentally screw up your slippage and lose all your funds and all that. So obviously minimizing that and making it more, I guess, slim for whatever gets kind of skimmed off,
Exactly.
is easier for people to kind of entertain and become like more loyal in that. Because yeah, I mean, if you're losing, big percentages and stuff when you're exchanging, like, I mean, I don't even like the ETH gas and stuff right now. Like, like that's painful. And then when you have slippage on top of it, like it gets really tough for people to, they have to hold longer to make profit, and then they have to save for taxes and all that. So it just, being able to reduce slippage is definitely needed, and having low transactions and stuff. So I love what I'm hearing from Voltage and stuff like that. With the bridges, have you obviously there's been some issues and stuff with that, but you guys have been taking a lot of precaution and stuff with bridging. Would you say like Fuse? Because I'm not super familiar with Fuse Network itself, but would you say Fuse is probably, I guess, like a easier network to bridge with? Like, how does it kind of interact with what you guys are doing? Because obviously, bridges in the past have been something of concern for a lot of people with the hacks.
Definitely. So might be interesting for our guests here to maybe know what Fuse is. First of all, so Fuse is, as I said earlier, it's a blockchain, an L1, very similar to Polygon in a way that it's really fast and also very cheap to do transaction on. Actually cheaper than Polygon, which is something I would have never thought possible a couple of months ago. But yeah, so it's focusing more on real world integrations. So it's looking for being integrated into payments, for example, like replacing old systems like Visa and Mastercards that takes huge cuts of fees out of merchants, which would be which I mean it's not relevant anymore with like what we have as technology with blockchain, and especially blockchains like Fuse that are focusing on this. Right, I mean they're focusing on real world integrations, which is really cool because they've also I mean they've helped raise projects that really solve real world problems, which is something that crypto and blockchain are trying to go in that direction, but still lacking a little bit. So that was also what's interested me in Voltage. Fuse has actually some real use case real world use cases. So yeah, that's one thing. And then also, I would say Fuse is I would say the number one underrated L1. To be honest, it has seen some hype 1 year and a half ago, something like this. But yeah, the bear market has been a toll on everyone. I need to say
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
But yeah, they announced Fuse announced last week. Actually, it's great that we talk about it. They announced their 10 million funding program. So like if you're a builder on DeFi and you look for blockchain that focuses on real world integrations with low fees and fast transactions, then maybe fill out the form because they are distributing funds, right, to finance you. So might be
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah, definitely worth it. Like I know, a lot of projects and stuff have been looking for grants and all that. So definitely good to point that out that that's, available. Um, and you said with Fuse, like obviously it reduces like the gas fees. Obviously, you said like are super cheap. Transaction speeds are I'm assuming faster
Yeah.
on that. But and then like, would you say Fuse just because of those two things is a lot more scalable? Like, how many users do you think are kind of on the network? I know you guys are like the number one DeFi platform on Fuse at this time. Like, you guys have amassed like a big following. But would you say like as far as like the scale size of it, like pretty big compared to some of these other networks?
Yeah. So yeah, as I said earlier, I think it's pretty underrated in a way that a lot of people don't really pay attention to Fuse, which I think is a pity because as I said, they just opened a big funds program. So I already heard a lot of projects are flocking to Fuse. So it's probably, I mean, it's like a bit of a chicken in the egg, right? It's like it's because you have projects building, then you have community building, and then you have people coming, and then and what networks grows, right?
Hmm.
What I can tell you is that over the last month, we saw a 2x increase in the TVL voltage, for example, which is
Nice.
pretty good. Which is
Yeah,
pretty
I mean that's definitely needed. Like no one wants to trade something and have like just a couple cents left from buying all these coins and stuff. So.
yeah. And about the fees, you were just something I wanted to mention about the fees you were talking about earlier. Is that like, for example, because the fees are so low, we're able to provide our Vote app, so mobile app users, with like no fee transactions because the DAO pays them for them. I mean, the fees are so low that it's not really a burden for the DAO to pay it, right? But
Mhm.
it's a great deal for a better user experience for new users, right? It's always, I mean, it feels weird, right? When you do it the first time, when you're used to normal banking and you send some money, you don't expect to pay funds for this, right? Which in DeFi you need to. So that's why I think it's also a nice stepping stone to see that because of this we can have a bigger account abstraction, which is interesting.
Yeah, and like I guess comparing that to like how Mastercard and Visa kind of go about things with their business, like users don't typically see the fee when you're swiping your card at a business. The business would pay like I think it's like 3 to 5% or something like
Yeah.
that for a fee, so that they're minimizing their profit range and all that. And most people are using cards these days, so like businesses are really like kind of getting hurt by that. And then, I guess like on the opposite end, when, people are, late for payments on credit cards and stuff, obviously they have interest fees and all that, and they could be, X amount, pretty outrageous. So that's when users would typically see the fee. But yeah, like, using these exchanges and stuff, minimizing that transaction fee is definitely needed because, I mean, I know with the meme coin season and stuff, seems like it's kind of waking up. And I've seen some pretty ridiculous fees from people posting on, Twitter. And I recall last like bull run, people were paying like $500-600 in gas fees, and I'm just like, you couldn't tell me that this Ethereum was going to scale at that time. And
Yeah.
I know with the next upgrade like that they just did, like it's still already high. Like
Yeah.
people are already complaining about it. So jumping down to cents, much more scalable from there. So definitely hope to see more people kind of gravitate towards a solution like Fuse, because to me, like we're on internet computer, and so like for us, Bitfinity network is doing transactions with EVM canisters, and there's like 2 cents right now, which would be like a max transaction. And I think like that's just like the early stages of it. They're probably able to bring it down with how the internet computer kind of works. It's interesting because you'll be able to trade Ethereum on the block, like on internet computer, without necessarily doing a bridge. So it's cool, like seeing all these different solutions kind of come about, and
Yeah.
there's great things of networks. So for back to full voltage. So can you explain the approach to cross chain and interoperability, and how you plan to facilitate a seamless integration with other blockchains?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a hot topic at the moment at Voltage, because we as I said, we were built on Fuse, but with always the idea in mind that the future is cross chain. It's not like it's not going to be one chain governing them all. You know, it's not. I don't believe in this theory. I do believe that blockchains need to have real world use cases, and that's where they can target basically what they want to do. Like no blockchain can do everything. You know, I don't believe in this. I believe that each blockchain is going to have a specific use case, or at least a few ones, right? There needs to be like some of them needs scalability, some others needs high levels of security, some of them need, I mean, different stuff, right? Especially if you're facing retail or merchants or businesses, or it's really different. So I do believe cross-chain is the future. So that's why at Voltage, we're discussing with a lot of other chains for integrating. So, like basically integrating Voltage on their network, but also building stuff for them. Because, for example, like at Voltage, we recently launched the first Fuse liquid staking protocol contracts, which is also amazing in terms of user experience, because now users are able to basically stake the Fuse tokens in a click on the app, and then just use those S fuse they get in exchange for other DeFi purposes. So it's like basically having one token and having two benefits from it. So it's like there's a lot of potential there. We have built the contracts. We can then export them to new networks, because Fuse is also supporting ERC20 tokens. So yeah, that's the we want to like discuss with other protocol to like see how which are the ones interesting for us to deploy on, but also then what do they need from us that we already built we can just apply to them. So that's something we're discussing. But we're also discussing with like aggregators, liquidity aggregators, which are basically, yeah, I would say user experienced amplified dexes. No, not dexes. Bridges, I would say. Like basically, you just input two chains, the ones you want to bridge from and to, and then the amount and then token, and you just do it. And with a simple API, you can integrate them to your DEX, for example. So we're discussing with them as well to make it really seamless for any users to basically go from chain to chain.
Yeah, and obviously like the interoperability is needed. I don't know if I'm picking up on static, but yeah, and then you said you were working kind of like with like BSC and all that. Do you have any like big partners and stuff that you've like announced as like obviously you said you're helping out with certain things. But I just want to know like if you had any like recent partner announcements or something that people might be able to expect soon, and kind of like with the voltage roadmap or something like that.
Not in terms of partners, because we're in talks, but nothing we can announce officially for now. We are well advanced on this, but I cannot disclose anything too early. What I can say though is that we Voltage also, after launching the first liquid staking on Fuse, is also going to launch the first launchpad on Fuse. This is in the idea that we want to support their Fuse Ignite program. The 10 million program for DeFi builders to come and build. They're going to need a place to launch the token on, right? And this is going to be Voltage. So we actually already built the launchpad, and we are ready to welcome those. So you can look up for Fuse, because I believe the ecosystem is going to grow a lot, and the Voltage is going to be at the spearhead of this.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely like, keeping my eyes on it. Obviously, like we follow each other with our accounts and stuff on Twitter. And before we get into like where people can kind of find you, I definitely tagged it in the YouTube description here. But for the long-term vision for the growth and adoption of voltage, and where you kind of see DeFi going. How do you plan to stay competitive and relevant in like such a rapid market? Like obviously it's very new and very volatile. But as far as like the longevity, where do you kind of see yourself with the team?
Okay. If I got this question correctly, what you're asking is basically what are we building to stay relevant for the next couple of years?
So yeah, like, but like for like your long term goal, right? Like obviously, like you guys are already like the top decks on Fuse, but for like where you guys see like certain milestones for hitting, like what if you could kind of go in depth on maybe certain milestones for volume and stuff traded on the marketplace, like where are some key spots that you're like we like accomplished our goals here.
Right, right. I would say there's three areas in which we're really looking forward to make progress on. The first one is the Vault app. So as I mentioned, we are really focused on user experience. We believe mass adoption is going to go through mobile because you've seen the mobile adoption trend, right? You've
Yep.
seen, I mean, like I think I don't remember which firm, but like an analytics firm made a like an incredible number, like prediction, like we will have 89% or 98% of the population, so I think it was 98, is going to have a phone by 2025, something like this, something outrageous like this, right? Everywhere in the world, which means, right, even like countries that are lacking in development will have everybody will have a phone, right? So we believe DeFi is has the potential like to disrupt traditional finance in developed country, but also um, have even more potential in countries where the banking system or financial institutions don't exist or are really not really good. Like I'm talking like South America, for example. Like where I don't know, like Venezuela or countries like this, where it's really difficult for retail to have access to financial instruments, right? So I do believe that their DeFi could be something that has a real impact. Um, so first thing, we want to improve on user experience so that everyone understands how to use it and doesn't go through the hurdles of learning how to download a MetaMask and what's impermanent loss and things like this, right? What's the swap? We want to make it really seamless. So that's the third thing. The Vault app was launched 2 months ago now, with a wait list with over 30,000 members,
It's a
and it's
lot.
still growing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still growing actually because it's still the waitlist is still open. So if you guys hear about it, get on the waitlist because we're also airdropping tokens to the early members. So it's still early for now. We only released it to the 500 first users. So it's really really hot already. So this is a new thing, but we want to scale it a lot. This is going to be the spearhead for adoption. We believe on Fuse. We've seen actually like like Web2 companies trying to get into that business as well. Like for example, I'm not sure if you've seen, but like Robinhood has launched like a Polygon wallet as well, non-custodial wallet. With like easy to use tools, right? It's the same. We want to do Advantage, but with like a real Web3 look, not a Web2 look, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the idea, and that's the first thing. Second thing is as I mentioned, the launchpad. We are Voltage is already the number one DEX, but we were looking to solidify that position by being the go-to solutions for any new project launching on Fuse to launch their token on Voltage, basically with the launchpad. And I would say third thing is cross-chain. So we are looking for expanding on other chain where it makes sense, right? Where volume goes up, where contenders to the L2s and things like this. We're looking for Optimism, Arbitrum, um, those ones, but also ZK Sync and others that I cannot disclose for now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense with the privacy of it. You got to protect your products. There's certain things for timelines, so totally understand and respect that. But yeah, I wanted to touch on how you mentioned like the mobile. Obviously, like I believe right now there's probably like close to like 6.8 billion or so like mobile phones and stuff for access for people to be able to use crypto and all that. So obviously going there is much more affordable than having a PC set up, all these higher end expenses. So mobile should be the easy transition for onboarding more people. So I love that you guys have it where it's nice, clean user interface, so that people can enjoy this, because obviously that's very needed. Like, the high expenses, and maybe that's kind of like why we've seen the market kind of come down. So it's more like enterable for people to get kind of back in, right? Just market kind of has like its fluctuations of what's hot, what's not. But yeah, like having the clean mobile experience, obviously that like is very critical. And the fact that you already have like 30,000 signups and stuff, like that's awesome. Like that's a huge milestone for many projects. And where, like, just judging on like the growth aspect with it, would you say like that's like a good fraction portion of like the Fuse network, like the 30,000, like, because that's a pretty big number, and obviously you're looking to grow that, but would you say that's like a good chunk of like the Fuse network for as far as like size, or where is that at for them? Because you mentioned it's a not so noticed chain. So just for
Right.
perspective.
No, I would say this is only a fraction of what's to come. Honestly, I'm saying this only because, again, we are really early right now with this app. Right, it's been in development since I would say August last year, and it's been the first version has been released. A month ago, 2 months ago, to only 500, the first 500 users on the waitlist. Right, so it's the flywheel effect hasn't started yet. This is how I see it. Basically, it's like a lot of users want to get access to it because it has great features that are really easy to use. We have a big community in Africa as well, which they directly see the benefits of what we're building, and also all in other countries of the world, Southeast Asia, South America, as I was mentioning. So there's a lot of people waiting for it, but I'm sure that when they're going to try it and see how easy it is to use it, right? They're going to talk to their friends and family, right? And
Yep.
this is where I do believe the adoption is going to come from.
Yeah, definitely. The word of mouth is the best way to go about it. If your buddy, like, obviously airdrops help, right? Like it brings more users in. But when like people make money from those airdrops and they tell their friend, and then all of a sudden they get to experience the platform and stuff, that's really where the word of mouth comes in for marketing. So
Yeah,
initially, I think like a lot of people kind of get, well, yes, there are airdrop hunters without a doubt, but then I think like once that kind of initial brush off from that happens, and people start talking about it, and getting to say like, well, this was actually a really clean experience with the airdrop. That's where you're going to get most of those users, as you kind of mentioned. So definitely excited to see and experience more from Voltage. I definitely do need to download the app myself. And if you have a link for where people could find potential like whitelist spots and all that, I would love to get that so I can tag it in the video here. So it's easier for people to kind of get to your platform.
if you want, I can just break it down in like 1 minute. It will take probably 2 minutes for you to be on the wait list. It's
Yeah,
really easy.
go for it.
Basically, you go to Voltage Finance. You probably have the link at the bottom of the video, right?
Yep.
You go to Voltage Finance. You will see at the top. You will see the Volt app tab. It's better if you can do it on your mobile so that you can directly have a link to whether it's iOS or Android, right? The Play Store. And you just have to download it. Once you download it, you create a wallet, which is your non-secure wallet. You only need your email and your phone number. And once you do that, you will see a screen where there's your spot on the wait list. You have also a link to refer your friends. And if you refer your friends, you will move up the wait list, so you have access earlier. That's it basically. And once you get in, you will get like a get verified button. We do this to make sure you're not a bot, basically. And once you did it, so you're basically taking a selfie of you. It's going to get verified by a third party provider. We're not looking at your picture, don't worry. And then you will get a soulbound token, which is also a great new innovation, right, in the ecosystem. We're one of the first to implement it to one of our products, which is basically an NFT that is non-transferable. So like it's kind of glued to your address, and that's a way for us to prove that you're a human. You will see it's a nice looking NFT, AI generated, I should say, which is also cool.
Yeah.
And then once you get this SBT, will be your profile picture in a way, and with that we are able to know that you're a human, and that's why you get the reward.
Yeah, that's funny that when you get an AI reward for it, so that's really cool. I hope you don't mind if I open it up to some questions. I see some in
Yeah,
the comments here.
please do.
So it looks like Spitfire's been putting in quite a bit. Let me just double check. I'm not sure if you see comments as well.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay, perfect. So looks like he said blockchain and crypto markets have been changing. What do you want to see in the near future for this industry?
All right. Yeah. Great question, Spitfire. Well done. So, first of all, I would say that I'm in the industry as like a full-time worker since January. So I would say my experience as a worker is pretty new, but I've been in crypto DeFi for 3 years now. What I do see already happening, which I think is great, is more easy to use tools to like on ramp users. So we were talking about the Vault app, but let's talk about something else. Is some like, for example, like on ramp providers, right? I remember at the beginning of DeFi, it was so complicated to get into like Uniswap and things like this, because you first need to send your funds to a centralized exchange. You pray that it comes, right? You pray that they don't scam you. Then you have to withdraw it on a MetaMask, and then maybe you can, like, if you know your ways around, you can like do transactions, which is complicated, right? What I see now, which is really great, is some dexes or some apps, or yeah, basically those kind of infrastructure that now propose or do partnerships with on-ramp providers, which are basically like, with your credit card, you buy the amount of token you want, and it's created directly to you on your non-custodial wallet. And this is like, for me, it was a revolution, right? I thought it was really great, and I think that's the way to go to. That's one of the way to go to grow the whole crypto ecosystem. And the second thing that I see also growing, although I'm only 6 months in full time, I would say is projects tend to work together more and more. I would say that it's less like the early days where people basically get angry with each other because they were not agreeing on like architectures of blockchain and things like this. I see now more healthy competition where people, like projects, try to make the best out of their resources, but also there I see a lot of synergies being developed between projects, and I can also talk about it myself because I'm in regular contact with all the projects, and this is great to see. I think we should move forward with this.
Yeah, and I love that you kind of said, like, how like projects are more open now. I feel like a lot of people have now experienced like the trade-offs with certain networks and stuff, and they're like, all right, like we could work with this team, help get a problem solved, and now like we're chain agnostic and all that. So like definitely seeing more like camaraderie like with
Yep.
the networks that were like bumping heads before. So it's definitely wonderful to see that. And I do think that offers a lot more information to be used for education, because obviously when two networks work together, they can start to educate both and kind of help make it more seamless for educating the public on two networks versus just one. People get more exposure that way. And then it looks like Spitfire had a couple more questions. As far as network performance, does the protocol have sufficient bandwidth and speed to overcome latency problem?
So I'm not really sure what you're referring to with latency problem. What I can tell you by my personal experience is then when you conduct a swap, provide liquidity, or use whatever feature there is on the Voltage DEX, because the Fuse blockchain is so fast, you will like have the standard procedure where you just click on swap, for example, and like even like 10 seconds after this, you get like a message saying it's approved. You can check it on the Fuse blockchain explorer as well, and it went through. So I'm not sure what you're talking about with bandwidth, because for now I haven't encountered any issues, and our users neither.
Yeah, and that's obviously really good because maybe I'm touching on this with like Ethereum, like failed transactions. Maybe that with that, I'm not exactly sure what Spitfire is referring to, but I know when people have a failed transaction, they get
Oh
really
yeah,
mad.
yeah. You
So,
pay the fees and it doesn't go through. This is really annoying.
yep, especially when it's super expensive. Yep. So,
Especially yeah.
uh, and then here's a good one. It says, "What are the core features of Voltage that finance brings into crypto space that you are most proud of?" So, what are you most fond of with the Voltage team?
Right, right. It's the same reason why I joined them. Basically, it's their realistic focus on user experience. I've talked about it a lot during this podcast, I know, but I think it's really key. And also, they're combining user experience with mobile application. I do believe it is one of the way forward to like at least get retail into DeFi. It's really complicated to get them into DeFi when the terminology is complicated, when centralized exchange go bust and publicly. It's like an environment that is really scary to like ask your mom or your grandparents if they're still there, right? Ask them if they want to get into DeFi. You'll see their answer, right?
Yeah.
And like we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to like apply Web 2 UI that everybody knows to
Mhm.
Web 3 principles. And I know the whole industry is focusing on this one. I've seen. Have you seen the Uniswap also is launching their wallet?
I didn't see that. I've been using Uniswap lately, obviously, but like it's not something that I was expecting the wallet for.
Yeah, they're building a wallet. It's actually, I think it's in test mode as well right now, or at least there is some waitlist as well there. But I love to see the whole industry realizing the potential there and getting in there as well. So I would say one of the most thing I'm proud of is this focusing on this focus on the mobile app and user experience combined. And the second thing I would say is being the leading DEX on Fuse.
Yeah, I mean that's always wonderful when you're at the top, you know. So then Spitfire has another question with any plans to market here in Asia, and I know you said you were in like Southern Asia for the markets there. I guess do you have any 6 month plan to market further in there? I would kind of imagine a lot of it's going to be like that word of mouth marketing and stuff, but if there's anything like that's gonna add extra firepower to the marketing plans there. It
Yeah.
looks like Spitfire's curious.
Yeah, Spitfire again. Great question. Thank you for this one. So I would say for now, it's too early to target any specific markets. What we want to see now is that we have a great waitlist, and we didn't even open the app to this waitlist now. So we want to open it to the waitlist, gather feedback as much as we can, so that we're sure that the product is completely fine to like market to new like markets, right? And this is too early for now to say okay, we're going to target Southeast Asia as the first goal, right? What we want to do now is gather as much feedback as we can, also make sure that we make the improvements needed to then be confident enough to like really push this product, and then we'll also see in what region of the world our users are the most active, and from there we can see okay, in for example like in Mexico we have I don't know, one third of our users. Okay, so this means we probably needs to. It would be good to like emphasize or leverage this, right, and make a campaign out of this. But we are definitely looking at actually we're looking at Web2 examples like Revolut. You know, like Revolut, the online banking app, right? I'm actually working on analyzing their whole strategy so that we can apply this once we're confident about the product, and then apply their strategy, which was really effective to what we do. So again, not reinventing the wheel, just applying the best concepts of Web 2 to Web 3 users with like the benefits of decentralizations, blockchain, and the community.
Yeah. And then as far as where people can find yourself, because we'll probably wrap up right around here, but if you have any events and stuff that the Voltage team is kind of going out to, like I know there's a lot of conferences and stuff all over the place these days. If there's anything like anyone that's looking forward to meeting the Voltage team, is there a specific place that they might be able to see you guys at, or is online the best
Um,
place to connect at
in,
this time?
yeah, in terms of event, we haven't scheduled any for now. We're really focusing on building actually.
Which makes
Uh,
sense. Yeah.
But we definitely want to attend events once our products are out, like to spread the word. Definitely, I would say for now, if you want to get in touch with us, the best way to do this is, yeah, as like in any crypto project, right, on Twitter. So Vote Finance, with like at Vote Finance. And on there, you will also find our Telegram. You can also look on CoinGecko. CoinGecko is the most reliable source of information concerning voltage or fuse. So go to CoinGecko and you'll see all the relevant links you need. Feel free to contact us. Actually, we have a team of 15 ambassadors, which are really, really active. So feel free to reach out. They will probably link you to me. And if you have like an interesting proposal to make or whatever, we can get on a call. I'll be happy to talk to you if you want.
Awesome. Yeah. And which you said voltage. I have it in the link here. But do you have a personal Twitter or anything that you would like to plug as well?
Yeah, I created like 2 months ago or something like this. So yeah, if you want, you can. It's Luka, so like it's written here, Luka, and then DeFi, Luka DeFi, and you'll see me with like this mic actually on the profile picture. And yeah, feel free to follow. I often retweet important news from Fuse or Voltage, or content I've been participating in. So don't hesitate.
Awesome. And I'll DM you and get that so I can post it in the bottom of the YouTube here. That way it's really easy for people to connect.
Right.
And then also, because I know Spitfire is asking if there's any prizes, I do for the swap, our Twitter page, I believe it's in the bottom here. I'll go to our recent post for the live that I mentioned here with Luka, and I will post one of our airdrops and stuff that we have coming, that it's going to be dispersed next month. But we do have something going for like a ghost. It's called Ghost Token. So definitely just giving users a wallet that they can sign up with, and then we'll do airdrop in June. So and then
Nice.
I don't know if you guys have anything else other than like the whitelist spot. Make sure you guys check that out, and get that in the description here on YouTube. So
Yeah, maybe the last thing I can say is that we have a really packed roadmap for the Q2, so for this quarter. Go check out on Twitter. It's the pin post, so it's like the first post you'll see on the page. We have the roadmap. We actually uh, already completed the first step, which was a new UI, and so we're on track to deliver what we have promised to the community. I look forward to see what's coming to Voltage, because we're really improving the Vault governance token utility with the vVault, the Launchpad, and also like the community proposed recently a 20% burn of the supply, which we're pretty keen to do. So lots going to happen at Voltage.
yeah, it's definitely exciting. I think everyone likes a good burn. So, yeah, I appreciate your time, Luka. It's been a pleasure. Definitely looking forward to more news from Voltage Finance, and I'll be following along that roadmap. So, thanks again for your time. I definitely appreciate it. So,
Thank you a lot.
yeah. All right, everybody. You have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. I appreciate all of your time and attention for tuning in and giving us a platform to speak on. So thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day or night. So
Bye bye.